president has also chosen, and I stress this, chosen to tear up the values that once made America the shining light of the world. Now, in this land of the free and home of the brave, we have university students being swept up, shoved into unmarked vans.
I'm not talking about the violence. We've already established that. What's the difference between that and Tim Walz saying, I get a kick out of it?
First of all, look, Tim Walz is a complete moron to me. I have to be very honest, and I'm not surprised why the American people did not choose him. Nothing against...
Apparently, CNN's Abby Phillip just called out Tim Walz. And let me tell you, this wasn't your standard polite newsroom disagreement. It felt more like a political WWE match disguised as journalism. One moment, it's business as usual. The next, it's pure chaos in a suit. You could practically feel the tension through the screen as people in D.C. tried to act neutral while sipping their coffee a little too dramatically. What exactly did she say that's got everyone whispering in Washington? Buckle up, because this story comes with ego, irony, and just the right amount of chaos.
Violence is completely unacceptable, and these people will go to jail. I mean, you can't burn a dealership and not get caught eventually and go to jail. But it is, again, the broader question here about has it crossed the line when people are sort of rooting for the failure of a company?
Before we go any further, hit that like button and subscribe, because this political circus isn't slowing down anytime soon. Somehow, CNN managed to make Monday mornings interesting again. Abby Phillip. Yes, the same Abby who can destroy a talking point with a single eyebrow raise, decided to take on Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, who always sounds like he's stuck somewhere between a PTA meeting and a campaign rally. It was bound to get awkward, and it did.
I think there was a clear lack of preparation and execution here on Walz's part.
I think actually it's the opposite. I think he had too much preparation.
Maybe,
yeah. He had so many lines that he was clearly trying to say.
Yeah.
The moment Abby went off script, you could almost hear every DC consultant drop their non-fat oat milk latte in horror. CNN had done the unthinkable. It turned on one of its own narratives. Walz, who'd been coasting through interviews like a man narrating his own campaign ad, finally met someone who wasn't buying the humble public servant act. Abby wasn't playing along. She challenged him directly, and the internet immediately lost its collective mind.
On my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So, and if you own one, we're not blaming you. You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, and take out, just telling you.
Because in today's America, a journalist mildly calling out a politician is treated like a national crisis. You'd think someone set fire to the Constitution based on how people reacted. Twitter, or whatever we're calling it this week, turned into a philosophy class full of people who've never opened a book. Some yelled, "How dare she?" while others shouted, "Finally." It was the usual split screen of outrage and applause, all because someone asked a real question on live TV.
Isn't it a conservative principle that the government shouldn't be picking winners and losers?
Why don't we ask ourselves about the market? It's down 8 to 20% depending on the sector you look at. Tech is down. Tesla's down. We're having a market correction. It happens every 18 to 20 months. And EVs are under pressure because of lots of competition, including from China.
If Walz looked humbled or betrayed, it's because Abby didn't just call him out. She dismantled his PR polish with surgical precision. Every question landed like it had been tested in a political lab for maximum discomfort. Somewhere in between those polite smiles, you could tell Walz realized this wasn't going to be the friendly interview he expected. Abby wasn't there to flatter him. She was there to reveal the cracks in the campaign armor.
What do you make of the criticism that one of the reasons why your party was so resoundingly rejected last November is because Democrats were gaslighting the country, saying that inflation was not a big deal, heralding Bidenomics, pretending that there wasn't a problem at the border, and then fundamentally this idea that President Biden was up for another 4 years of the job while Americans in poll after poll for year after year were saying he's too old to do the job.
She didn't need to raise her voice or lose her cool. All she did was expose the one thing every politician fears, that moment when the script stops working. Walz has lived safely in that comfort zone where everything sounds rehearsed and nothing means anything. But Abby wasn't playing that game. With calm precision, she cornered him, the kind of professionalism that says, "I'm about to ruin your day, but I'll do it politely." And when the facade cracked, you could see it. A slow unraveling of political composure. Abby didn't just embarrass Walz, she exposed the fragile performance art of politics itself.
When J.D. Vance said one of the many things he really hit Kamala Harris on, not Tim Walz, but Kamala Harris, he didn't respond because he clearly had things in his mind. I think the lack of interviews that he has done with national media, with local media.
Walz wanted to sound like a statesman, but ended up looking like the guy in the group project who clearly didn't read the assignment. CNN, sensing TV gold, ran that clip on repeat like it was the moon landing. But honestly, it wasn't the gotcha moment that went viral. It was the authenticity. People are starved for something real, even if it comes wrapped in a little televised humiliation. His team scrambled, releasing statements about miscommunication and respectful disagreement. But viewers saw through it, and that silence from Abby between her questions did more damage than any headline could.
Stood against all of those things.
Look, Joe Biden coming in and doing COVID and being a governor through COVID did a hell of a job. But I think one of the things that we didn't do is we assumed that we said, and it was true, that we were going to have a soft landing and our economy was better than the rest.
Walz tried to play it off like it was no big deal. He smiled, nodded, and tossed out those classic politician lines that sound humble, but mean absolutely nothing. But his eyes told another story. That wide-eyed look of a man, realizing the media honeymoon was over. Abby had simply said what everyone else had been thinking, that his carefully curated persona had more layers than a wedding cake and about the same amount of authenticity. Behind the scenes, campaign aides whispered about strategic adjustments, while press conferences turned awkwardly quiet. Meanwhile, Abby just kept doing her job, calm, poised, and probably sipping tea while D.C. lost its mind.
I'm sorry, this guy, he's the only school teacher in America who brags that none of his students can get into an Ivy League school. He's had one consequential press interaction with our Dana Bash, who asked him about the fabrications in his own resume, and his answer was essentially, me no understand words good. I mean, he's a buffoon. He's on a free ride for running under Harris. He gets very little press.
And that's the real punchline here. It's not that Abby embarrassed Tim Walz. It's that one unscripted moment exposed how fragile the whole political machine really is. One honest exchange, and suddenly the system short-circuited. Walz became the symbol of what happens when political confidence meets journalistic competence. Some pundits tried to twist it into a culture war debate. Was Abby too aggressive? As if asking real questions is now controversial. But Abby wasn't being combative. She was being honest. That's not bias. That's backbone. Something Washington hasn't seen much of in decades.
Bond King gets back in the ring. I speak of former VP nominee Tim Walz. He joined Beto O'Rourke at a Texas town hall last night, and the estrogen levels were enough to give Chuck Norris menstrual cramps. I wonder, is our strength our diversity?
Our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years as a country of immigrants, and we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is.
By the end of the week, Walz's team stopped mentioning Abby altogether. Every time they did, the clip resurfaced and the polling dipped. Their best strategy was silence, which ironically only made it worse. Abby's moment reminded everyone what journalism is supposed to look like, saying the hard thing, even when it bruises someone's ego. In a strange way, she did him a favor. She forced him to face reality and exposed the gap between political messaging and actual substance. That's why the moment went viral. People are tired of polite lies. They want something, anything, that feels real.
The party needs to acknowledge that President Biden was not up for the job of running for re-election and that this was a major mistake by the
He made
Democrat-
that decision.
I know, but you all went along with
he
the
made that
idea that he
decision.
was up for it, and he wasn't. And everybody saw it, and the country rejected it.
Yeah, well, look, history will tell us to go back on that. That very well.
Viewers crave those messy, awkward human moments, the ones that remind us that politicians are just people who sometimes get outsmarted on national TV. The irony is that Walz's campaign probably raised more money after the scandal than they had all month. Scandals sell, humiliation trends, and CNN milked it like it was Super Bowl coverage. By Friday, Abby was trending in 3 time zones, and Walz was trending for all the wrong reasons. But the message stuck. Truth still has power, especially when it's delivered calmly and with a smirk.
I wish I had been there. And there was Oliver Wendell Holmes, and actually, you can. I don't believe you're a lawyer, Governor Walz. You can yell fire in a crowded theater, and you can say hateful things because this is the United States of America, and it's right there in Amendment number 1. It's one of our favorites, was one of the founders' favorites, and was one of the founding principles upon which this country was built. There's no exception for speech Tim Walz or Kamala Harris magically deems hateful. But they've been pushing this, both of them, and a lot of Democrats have, for quite some time. These young Democrats on college campuses say that they believe that the Constitution doesn't protect.
Nothing about this moment was ordinary. It was a perfect storm of media power meeting political fragility. A modern gladiator match fought with questions instead of swords. And in that arena, Abby Phillip didn't just win. She dominated. By the time the dust settled, one thing was clear. Tim Walz's confidence had left the building. Yet, Washington, in its usual denial, tried to play it off as a healthy exchange. That's DC speak for someone got vaporized. But we're pretending it's fine.
Awful human beings deserve each other. Like, you deserve all of this, Jake, and you deserve all of this, Tim. And then the cognitive decline, which Jake has the temerity, he has the balls to be, quote unquote, writing. I know he didn't write it, to write a book about the very thing that he was hiding. Jake, did you say anything about how bad Bidenomics were for the years of Biden? Did you say anything about the border? And did you say anything about the cognitive decline? Why did I? But you didn't. So you're in it. Now you're trying to blame Tim Walz. Tim Walz, why didn't you do a better job with these things? Because he...
Meanwhile, every political strategist in D.C. turned the clip into a teaching moment. But give Walz some credit. He didn't hide. He doubled down, doing the politician thing. Abby, on the other hand, became a newsroom legend overnight. Every producer replayed the footage like it was a masterclass in journalistic composure. Young reporters whispered her name like she was some mythical figure, the slayer of talking points, the destroyer of spin. Social media crowned her queen of calm annihilation. That one faint smile she gave Walz became a meme. The universal look of bless your heart, you just made my job easier.
If you're coming to our state illegally, you're not only welcome with open arms, you're entitled to free stuff on the taxpayer's dime. This is absolutely disgraceful. Governor Walz, your sanctuary state agenda has been defined by your utter failure. You have failed to enforce the rule of law. You have failed to uphold our national sovereignty. And most importantly, you have failed the people.
Even other politicians started nervously checking their interview schedules. Abby Phillip had become a one-woman accountability machine, and the public loved it. After years of empty speeches and over-rehearsed charm, it was refreshing to see someone finally get called out, not with anger, but with precision. It was professional humiliation done right, controlled chaos delivered with journalistic grace. In the end, everyone got something out of it. Abby earned respect. CNN got their viral hit. Walz got a slice of humility, and the audience got pure entertainment disguised as accountability. Because let's be honest, this wasn't just journalism versus politics. This was theater. And Abby Phillip proved she's the only one in the cast who actually knows her lines.